Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. This one is transfer plans, so we're going to have a look at how I got on in game week 11 and then look at my future plans for game week 12 and beyond. So, game week 11 was an unbelievable week for me. As you can see on screen, 95 points and a 13k game week rank. So, about as good as it gets. It doesn't get much better than this as a game week. So let's go through each player. Fabianski, 9 points. Couldn't have gone any better, to be honest. When I wildcarded in game week 10, I specifically chose Verbruggen and Fabianski as a double up because Fabianski in game week 10 and game week 11 had okay fixtures when Verbruggen had Liverpool and City, knowing that I could play Fabianski in those. I mean, game week 10 wasn't ideal. Fabianski had Nottingham Forest and West Ham got battered. But this week, Everton at home was always a pretty good fixture. So really happy with 9 points from him there. And then from game week 12 onwards, Verbruggen has just great fixtures. So shouldn't need to play Fabianski anymore anyway. But yeah, couldn't be happy with 9 points there. 8 Nuri, 6 points. That could have even been more, to be honest. He had towards the end of the game, he put a ball across to, I think it was Bellegarde, who just couldn't get on the end of it, so he could have had an assist as well, but happy with 6 points. Trent, obviously a 1-pointer, slightly frustrating that Liverpool obviously kept the clean sheet, but he went off injured in the first half, so he could have got a clean sheet if he played the whole game. Slightly annoying. We'll talk about what we're going to do with him in the game week 12 preview section. Diego Dallo as well. This is an even more frustrating one, to be honest. He obviously came off in, I think, the 57th minute, so 3 minutes before he would have got a clean sheet. And what's more frustrating is in the first 10 game weeks, he's played 90 minutes every single week. And the first game week that I play him, so I got him on wildcard last week, but I benched him because it was against Chelsea. This is the first week I get him and play him, and he plays 57 minutes, which is thoroughly frustrating, as Man United kept a clean sheet as well. So, very annoying, but can't really moan too much because the game week was fantastic. Then we move on to the midfield. So Salah, obviously had the vice captain on Salah. So Saturday night I was out, and I was out in a place where I had no signal, so I couldn't even follow the Liverpool score. It wasn't until I got home at about 10:30, 11 o'clock that I saw the Liverpool score. I saw that Salah got an assist and a goal, and I was thinking, okay, I've messed up here with the captaincy. Because I was 50-50 throughout the whole week. I mentioned it on my team selection video last week. The captaincy was on Salah at that point when I recorded the video. I was 50-50 between him and Fernandes. I just thought the matchup for Fernandes was so good. Everything, all of his numbers to that point, in the last few weeks, he was top for big chance involvements. I think he was second for shots. He was just so high in all of the metrics, and Leicester at home was such a good fixture in a time where Leicester are putting out a team which is just diabolical for the Premier League standard. So I essentially thought this is I was pretty much 50-50 on it, but I thought this is quite a good week to go different. I didn't have anyone else in my team who I could have captained. I mean, Palmer played against Arsenal, so I was never going to captain him. Didn't have Haaland, didn't have any Spurs players. So, yeah, it was Salah or Fernandes, and most people went Salah. Salah was top of my captaincy model, but I thought this is a good week to go different, and very glad I did. Like I say, on Saturday night when I saw that the Liverpool result, I was worried because I didn't think Bruno Fernandes was going to be able to compete with a 14-pointer, but he absolutely did. 2 assists, 1 goal, and that kind of sparked the rest of the day as well. Garnacho obviously didn't start, which was frustrating, but he come on and scored, so he got 6 points. And Bomo with 5 points, he got an assist. He could have got a lot more. Brentford at home are just so dangerous. I always expect Brentford at home to score like 2, 3, 4 goals. So, and again, in a couple of weeks, and Bomo, I think it's game week 13, has a ridiculously good home fixture, so he's a potential captain option in a couple of weeks. And then Cole Palmer, 2 points, slightly disappointing, but this isn't a week where I thought he was going to get loads anyway, so I'm not too fussed. Cunha, fantastic, 12 points, a goal and assist. His goal was absolutely fantastic, as was his assist, to be honest. The ball through was beautiful. And then I did have, as I mentioned in my team selection video, I had a bit of a benching headache between Jackson and Raul. For me, that was a pretty close one. And again, I was kind of 50-50 up until the deadline, but I thought it might not matter anyway because Palmer looked like he might be injured, so I might have got both. But Palmer did play. I went with Raul, and glad I did. Even though it was only a 3-point difference, it was still very, very nice. So 95 points, and that took me from 1.8 million rank to 490k. So it really, all it does take is one good week for you to shoot up the ranks and fix a bad start. Typically, for around 2 million in game week 10 isn't not the best start. So one good game week can really change it, because now I'm sitting in quite a good position. I'm quite happy with 490k, 500k-ish in game week 11. By game week 20, if I can get somewhere around 100k, I'll be pretty happy with that. So yeah, obviously the bench, Lewis with 0 points. I was never planning on playing him. I don't know if we even got a leak that he was starting. I can't even remember if we got a leak or not, but I didn't really care about the leak, because even if I knew he was starting, I was never going to play him over any of those three. Verbruggen was always benched, and then Anderson was always third on the bench, even though he came in with a 7-pointer. But yeah, about as good a game week as you can have. I think it's the best game week I've probably had in a couple seasons now, to be honest. So let's look at my plans for the future. I have 0.2 million in the bank and 2 free transfers, so let's talk about it. Okay, so as I mentioned, I wildcarded in game week 10, so my team shouldn't look bad at this point, and to be honest, it doesn't. I've got benching headaches. So as you can see, Verbruggen in goal. There is actually a world where I could play Fabianski again, but Bournemouth away, well, it's more that Brighton are just the better team, to be honest. West Ham are pretty terrible at the moment, and Brighton are much better, even though Bournemouth away isn't a great fixture. Neither's Newcastle away, so I'll probably stick with Verbruggen anyway. Then have working from right to left, so I've got Dalot with Ipswich at home. He is absolutely starting for me, not a doubt there. We don't know what Amarim's going to do in terms of the system and the players and who's going to work where, but I'd be very, very surprised if Dalot doesn't play somewhere, because for most of the season he's been brilliant. It was just not great in the first 57 minutes last week, but he's been brilliant. I think he will play, so kind of happy with him. Again, if Trent is fit, he'll definitely play. Obviously, Southampton away is a fantastic fixture, so kind of hoping that he is fit, although I'm in kind of an okay situation where it doesn't matter too much if he isn't. We'll go through that once I've talked through the whole team, but hoping to play him. Then I've got Ait-Nouri with Fulham away there. I might not play him. I've got Lewis with Tottenham at home. He is always just kind of going to be a risk of starting now, which is slightly annoying, and the City defence just isn't great, and Spurs attack is pretty good, albeit it wasn't great at the weekend against Ipswich, but in general it's been pretty good. So ideally I'd like to bench Lewis. Anderson with Wolves at home is a pretty good fixture, so there is a world where I could start Anderson over Ait-Nouri, or if Trent's injured, then, and it doesn't sound like it's serious from the information that we know at the moment, which granted isn't particularly reliable, I don't think, but if he's only out for a few weeks, then there's a chance I'll just keep him and bench him, because this week I could just play Ait-Nouri, Anderson and Dalot, which is a fine back line, really. The annoying thing with that would be that obviously I've got Wolves players in my 11, so I've got Ait-Nouri, I've got Cunha, and they'd be playing against Anderson, or vice versa if I was to start Raul Jimenez and Ait-Nouri. Like, that's players against each other in the same game. So I need to work out where I'm going to sit on that. But onto the midfield, got Mo Salah, Southampton away. Probably the best captain option this week. I'll do a captaincy model video either later in this week or the start of next week. So stay tuned for that. But I imagine Mo Salah will be the best captaincy option this week, Southampton away. Although Cole Palmer has Leicester away. So potentially could captain him. Either way, both players have a fantastic fixture and I'm happy to have them both. Then I've got the two United boys, Bruno Fernandes and Garnacho with Ipswich away. Now, Bruno Fernandes, not a problem with him at all. Really happy to have him. Garnacho, granted I'm not a United fan. United fans will know more than me about this. I don't get why Garnacho was benched at all, if I'm honest. I get that Ahmad's been good, and I think Ahmad was actually pretty good in the Leicester game. So starting him, I've not got a problem with. But again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, because I haven't watched a great deal of United, but has Garnacho not been better than Rashford for the last year or so now? Maybe he hasn't, I don't know. But for me, Garnacho should play. Again, we don't know what Amorim will do with the system and where he'll fit these players in, so maybe Garnacho doesn't fit. But at the moment, I'll be starting him. Again, I've got a good bench player in Raul, so I could bench him, but at the moment, he's starting. Mbomo has Everton away, another good fixture. To be honest, again, Brentford have been so... The disparity between their home form and away form has been huge. At home, they are running ragged with teams and scoring ridiculous amounts of goals. Away from home, they've really not been that good. So it's not the best fixture, but it's Everton, so I'll definitely be playing him and keeping him, especially because in game week 13, he's a viable captain option, so happy with him. Up front, I've got Nicholas Jackson. Very glad that he didn't get a yellow card against Arsenal, because he's on 4 yellow cards, so he would have missed this game if he got a yellow. But this is a brilliant game for him. We saw how bad Leicester were all season, to be honest. So, yeah, happy to have him. Then Cunha and Raul is actually a decision I've got benching-wise. I'm not particularly sure where I'll land on that. It may actually depend on what defender I play. Given that if I don't really want to be playing Ait-Nouri and Raul. And similarly, I don't really want to be playing Anderson and Cunha. Given that if one gets points, the other probably won't. So I'll have to work out where I stand on that, and that kind of depends if Trent's injured as well. But plans going forward. So when I made this wildcard team in Game Week 10, I was hoping, obviously plans never go as they are intended to, but I was hoping that I could roll for a few weeks, get to Game Week 14, which is the end of, after Game Week 13, United's good run ends, and I've got 3 United players. So I will want to get rid of probably at least 2 of them. Dalot and Garnacho can probably go at that point. May keep Bruno, but I might have to sell him really, because basically after Game Week 13, I needed to look at getting Arsenal players, specifically Saka, but maybe Gabriel as well. And to get Fernandes up to Saka, I need to make some funds from somewhere. Now that could be Dalot and Garnacho, both down to cheaper options. So maybe someone like Dalot down to Lewis Hall or Colwill, and Garnacho down to Rodgers or Semenyo, maybe. But what it could also be is Trent down to Gabriel, and then Fernandes up to Saka. Again, not really sure where I'll land on all of this yet. I'm hoping that I can roll again this week to have 3 free transfers going into Game Week 13, so that I have a kind of a clearer picture on what I can do. I'm not going to make any early transfers, that's for sure, because we've got international games. Quite a lot of these players will be playing international games. One big player that we need more information on is Trent, obviously. So that's where I'm at. Longer term plan is to get Arsenal players, sell Man United players, but other than that, I'm kind of quite happy. Another player that I do want to get in really is João Pedro, and I've got options with that. I don't really want to sell Jackson, I don't really want to sell Cunha, so it's Raul. Again, I don't really want to sell him, but I do think that João Pedro is better. So that's one that I need to think about. Again, that probably won't be something I do this week, given that it will just give me a harder benching headache, and we don't really know that much about João Pedro's minutes at the moment, so I'll probably give that another week at least. But that's kind of my general overview, general plans. So if you like this one, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, which will be a wildcard draft for those that are on wildcard 12, so stay tuned for that.